Hello everyone, I am Bradley Sward, and this is my Day 2 solution to the 2025 Advent of Code festivities. The problem is called Gift Shop. Today I'm solving the problem in Python, so this is both parts. So the problem is called Gift Shop, as we say. We have a series of numbers, and we need to check to see which ones have repeating digits. And I have a problem with the way they define repeating digits because like in this case, 1 1 is an invalid ID, but for some reason 1 1 0 is not. So the idea here for part one is you basically cut the string in half. So only strings that are an even number could be invalid. Any odd number an odd number for the length of the string of digits, all the numbers are going to be valid. So in this case, you cut the number in half and you see if the left substring is equal to the right substring. 2 2 2 2 2 2 4 4 6 4 4 6 3 8 5 9 3 8 5 9. So you kind of see. And again, I'm not claiming efficiency by any means. I have a solution. I know there are methods of substrings and things like that that are quicker than what I have. But let me run this while I see what we're doing here. So we're talking about this. So here's my thing. Cut everything by commas. So here you can see, you get my answer that matches up with the number down here. So I say like cut everything by the commas. Here's my data set, here so then that gives me a list of strings. Cut the next part by the dash, and then figure out what the start and values are, and then go through every value in that range. And again, I know I can break this down. There's nowhere that checks to see for an even number of digits and so forth and so on. But for here, find the midway point, find the left substring, find the right substring, and if they are equal, then it's an invalid value for the ID number, and add it to the sum. And then as you saw, gets me the part one solution. So now let me drag over and start running because my part two is a little slower. So part two down here. So basically now, instead of it cutting it down halfway, you could have something like this case, whatever, if you start with a substring of 1 on the left-hand side, that needs to repeat all the way through. So 1 1 1 1 is an invalid number like before. 1 1 1 now is invalid because that 1 repeats 3 times over. It wasn't invalid up here because it was an odd number of digits, but now it is. So whatever you choose, like here's, for one digit at a time, this is 2 digits at a time. It has to keep repeating all the way through for it to be valid. So here is my solution. You see the number matches up. So here is my code that makes this work. And so this is the same as part one, getting the values. So for each value, I just figure out starting from a length of 1 and a length of 2 and a length of whatever up to half of the length of the string. I'm just checking, I'm figuring out what is my left-hand side, and then I'm going through all the subsequent substrings to see if they're equal. And if I find one that isn't, then I know it's a valid number, like 4 4 6 4 4 7. At this point, 4 4 6, that wouldn't match up. 44 doesn't match with 64, and then 446 doesn't match with 447, and so forth and so on. If I find one, I break out because it's a valid number. But only if I go through this entire for loop do I find that that all of the substrings match up with the original one on the left hand side, and I know that ID number is invalid. And then when I break through, I go, oh, I add that to the thing, and I cut out, and I start over and start over and start over again. And so that's the key here. And again, coming back, for me, the hardest part was just understanding exactly what they meant by the wording, and then it was just a matter of figuring out the off by one errors to make sure that I was on the right track with all the substrings and all the placements of the lengths of the strings and so forth and so on. Because starting from 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you're like, well, there's the cutoff point, and then we just keep adding and just keep if this left hand side is equal to every substring as I'm working my way down, then I know that at the end of the day it ends up being an invalid ID number. So that's how I solved the problem. If you know a better way, if you care to comment, if you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate it if you let me know. But I'm looking forward to day 3. These are definitely harder than day one, day two problems in the past because you got to, condense it down into 12 days, basically cut it in half. Definitely a fun problem, and looking forward to day three. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for sitting through this, and have a good